Welcome to episode 5 of the Path to Mindset Mastery. My name is Brad Bizjack. I'm a mindset coach, inspirational speaker, and creator of the online mindset course, Appreciation Academy. And my job is to help you overcome all of the negative self-talk and limiting beliefs that prevent you from the life you really want. So you are watching or listening to this because you're either stuck in a huge rut right now, or you've been in a huge rut before, or you know someone that's in a huge rut that you really want to help, right? So I want to share a little story with you and show you kind of where I came from with this and see if you can maybe relate in any way, shape, or form. So I remember back, it was 2011. I got this job out of college. I was really, really excited about it because I was making a lot of money, right? I really wanted to, and by a lot of money, I mean for a 22-year-old, right? I thought that everything was amazing. I thought that was great. I wanted to be in this cool company. So I went out to Columbus, Ohio, and got a job in retail merchandising. Now, nothing wrong with retail merchandising. If that's what you love, that is incredible. I just didn't love it. And I went out there and I remember saying, like, this is a really cool job. This could be it. This could be my career. This is something that I think, would be amazing. And right away, I knew that it wasn't a good fit for me. Even though I tried to rationalize like why it was, I knew like in my heart that it was just not right for me. Like it made me a negative person. Have you ever been in a situation where you're in a job that you don't want to be in, or you're in a place where just being around that environment so frequently kind of just brings your energy down? I'm that guy that like was always the positive dude, growing up. I was the dude that was always happy and go lucky. And whenever I stepped in the door of that office, I noticed that my energy was like instantly drained. It was like, no matter what I did, I just didn't want to be there. I remember multiple times where I'd call Janice on the way home, either just furious, or even sometimes like sometimes I was crying just because it was just such a horrible environment, working from sun up to sundown, feeling like I had no social life. The bureaucracy, the red tape, all of it was just overwhelming. And I remember being there just going, is this what my life is really like? I don't feel like there's anything I can do. And I remember thinking to myself, like, is this what people mean by like living the dream, right? Having a great job with great benefits. And again, nothing against the corporate world. I'm just speaking from my own experience. And it doesn't even need to be job related, but where can you relate to something in your life causing negativity? Like you used to be the super positive person, you used to be uplifting, and then something happened that kind of started dragging you down, started making you feel more negative, and you didn't even recognize yourself anymore. I remember sitting there. I'd get home from work, I'd grab a beer, I'd slouch on the couch to sit down, right? And I'd grab a beer, and I remember thinking, I want my life to change so bad, but I have literally no energy to change it. I became one of those people that like said they didn't have the time to change their life when they were sitting there drinking beer, watching, Breaking Bad on TV. And I started to become negative, and I was surrounding myself with people that were drinking multiple times a week, going out partying, going out to clubs. And it was not who I was. And it made me negative. I felt like I didn't have the abilities to change those circumstances. I felt stuck. I felt like there was nothing I can do. It was something where I literally had to convince myself not to call in sick every day of the week because I did not want to be there. I didn't want to call in sick. I didn't want to I didn't want to be in that environment. So where can you relate to that? Where can you relate to the place where you just felt like you have this overwhelming negativity, you're stuck in this rut, you're drained, you're sitting on the couch wanting your life to change, seeing your computer staring at you, begging you to send those resumes or start that business, but you don't have the energy to do it, and you care so much, but you just don't care at the same time, and you just think this is how life must be, I'm settling, I must be meant for this, I must be meant for this negativity. That was the start of my rut, and it lasted for 2 years, and it got pretty damn bad. And like there are other blog posts and podcasts that share how I got out of that, but the reason I share that with you is because I want you to think about negative thinking. I want to give you some tools that allowed me to change that, to get out of that situation, so I actually became someone that was positive again. I was stuck, I was drinking, I was shopping online, I was always overdrafting my bank account. Even if I was making decent money, I was still overdrafting my bank account, asking myself, is this all there is in my life? And I just felt stuck. So the first part of this is going to show you how I rewired my negative thinking. Like actually, now you've heard that cliche, right? Change your thinking, change your life. I'm going to show you how to actually do it, like exactly what I did. And then second, I'm going to give you some self-honesty checks about some of the toxic habits that you might have in your life that kind of make you the way you are that you probably don't even realize. So by the end of this, you should have a really good start to changing your life. This isn't everything. That's what my courses are for. But by the end of this, you should have a good start to it. So the first thing you need to understand is that your thoughts are always the reason. It took me so long to realize this. Your thoughts are always the reason you're stuck. Your thoughts are the reason you won't send that resume out. Your thoughts are the reason that you don't think you're capable of getting that promotion. Your thoughts are the reason why you don't feel you're qualified for the job, starting that business, whatever it is. So the first thing you can do is learn how to change your natural thinking patterns, right? And you've heard the cliche, change your thinking, change your life. You've heard that a billion times. I'm talking about showing you an actual technique right now to rewire the supercomputer of your mind, to change the way that you think so it actually is natural for you to be happy, empowering, and wanting those things that will change your life. So you start to tell yourself these stories, right? My job sucks. Building a team is hard. All the people around me are negative. This must be the way it is. Other people have it so much better than I do, right? Or I'm so negative, or why am I so negative? Or my boss is such a bitch, or my teammates won't do anything. I'm not enough, right? And if you say that enough, you start to believe it. I always use this example, but have you ever been at a party? And you're at this party and you're telling a story about maybe like a fish you caught, right? Or like a situation where you're just trying to tell this story that's entertaining. And when you're there and you're telling this story, you think it'd be better to exaggerate the details. So you start telling the story more vividly than it actually happened, right? So for instance, what that means is instead of the fish you caught being 6 inches long, it's 3 feet long. And you're doing that just to get more of a reaction from the people that you talk to. Well, you do that and then you tell that story over and over and over again, right? You say it multiple times. And before you know it, it's 5 years later, you're at a different party telling that same story and you don't even realize what part of that story is real or not anymore, right? Like you've said it so many times and with so much conviction that you actually believe it, even though it's a load of bullshit, right? That's what happens with negative self-talk. Only instead of it being a fun party topic that entertains and brings people together, it ends up being a topic that sabotages your life. Let's call these disempowering beliefs your default software, right? So you go through life believing this, and it starts to create inner conflict, and it changes the way you lead your life and your business and your job. Have you ever been sitting there on the couch? And this is what I did. I would sit there on the couch just wondering why things aren't changing, why my job isn't getting easier, why it's, I don't have the capabilities to do something. And I feel like I'm working so hard, but I'm so drained and I don't have the energy to change my life and I just feel stuck, right? You hear that cliche, change your thinking, change your life. This is how you do it. So first, you have to think that you're enough before the evidence of your life proves that you're enough. What does that mean? You have to believe you're important. You have to believe that you're worthy of an amazing life. And that's hard, especially when you're in a situation that you don't want to be in, when your life conditions don't match up with the blueprint you have for how your life should go. If you face a point in your life where you're trying to convince yourself that you're good enough or deserve something great, but you never really start to believe it, this is how you can start to change that. So what do I mean by that? Have you ever done like a goal setting exercise, right? Like you're sitting there and you're writing in a sheet of paper the goals that you have for the year, right? Earn $200,000 by June 3rd, 2019, or get a new job by December 31st, 2017, or move to Denver by this date, right? Whatever your goal is, you want that goal. You think that goal would be incredible, life-changing for you to do it, but you just don't believe it's possible. Like, it's really, really cool, but there's that little voice in the back of your head that laughs at you and says there's no way it's going to happen, right? Or think of it like getting a new job when you're negative in the job that you currently have. You want that new job. You want to be a positive person again. You want your life to change again, but you don't believe it's possible. Or maybe you do a vision board and you have this like big mansion on the vision board with your dream car, right? Or whatever it is. And when the second you look at it, you're like, shit, that'd be pretty cool. But there's that little devil on your shoulder just whispering doubt and insignificance in your subconscious mind. You have to change that thinking. And this is an amazing tool to do it. So first, what is thinking? Thinking is nothing more than the process of asking yourself a question. That's thinking, right? That's what thinking is. So if you focus on asking yourself really bad questions, you're going to get really, really bad answers. If you focus on asking great questions, you're going to get great answers. See, the mistake I made was that I was asking horrible questions. I would ask things like, why am I so negative? I would ask disempowering questions like, why does my boss suck? Why does this job suck? Why don't I make enough money? Why is Columbus, Ohio so shitty, right? And I asked myself all these negative, disempowering questions, and my life wasn't changing. So let me show you an example right now to show you what I mean that might help with this. So do this. Look around the room right now for everything you can find that's red. Ready? Count the number of things that you can find that are red. Ready? Go. Look for red. 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 Cool. How many things did you find that were red? Right? Maybe 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever it is. Question: how many things did you find that were blue? Probably none. You probably didn't find any, right? Because you weren't looking for it. But now look around the room for everything you can find that's blue. Ready, go. Look for blue, 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 look for blue. How many more things did you find that were blue? You probably even saw green and rationalized that it was blue just so you would feel successful at it. So that is how it works with your mind focusing on negativity or disempowering emotions. There's this thing in your mind called the reticular activating system. This is biological. It's not something fluffy that I made up, right? There's this thing in your mind called the reticular activating system. I don't know if it's here. It's somewhere in here, right? And what it does is its job is to fizzle out all the shit that you're not looking for. Have you ever been in the market for a car? And whenever you're in the market for a car, let's say you make the decision you want to buy a 2017 Ford Fusion. That is the car you decide you want. That's the car you're going to look for. So all of a sudden, you see that car at every stoplight, every stop sign, every street corner, every parking lot. That car is everywhere. Now, question, did that car just magically appear? Or was that car always there? 100% of the time, you just weren't looking for it. It was always there 100% of the time. You just didn't look for it. So when you look for red, that's focusing on what you don't want, right? That's focusing on, why is this so hard? Why does my life suck so bad? Why am I so negative? And those are the seeds of doubt and skepticism and pain, right? And those thoughts grow in your mind like weeds. Jim Rohn has an amazing quote that says, stand guard at the gates of your mind or weeds will grow automatically. Right? So what does that mean? Like, why will weeds grow automatically? What I mean is, our natural inclination is to look for what's wrong. Our natural inclination is to look for all the things that suck. Our natural inclination is to be more risk averse. And the reason for that is, think about like where we came from. Step back into the common sense corner. A couple thousand years ago, much more than that, I don't even know what it is biologically or in the history of the world. But our fears have nothing to do with what they have to do now. Right? They were, how am I going to eat? How am I going to survive the freezing cold? How am I going to protect my baby from the saber-toothed tiger hiding in the bushes? Those were our fears back in the day, right? So when we've evolved, not that much since then, and now we're thousands of years later, we don't have those same primal fears anymore. We don't have to worry about a saber-toothed tiger in our backyard. We can let our dog out, right? We don't have to worry about what to eat. We can go to Jimmy John's. We can go to the fridge, right? That's what we have that now. We don't have those same primal fears. So our brain, the reason I say this is because your brain at any point in time is not trying to make you happy. No matter what you do, unless you condition this in, your brain will not try to make you happy. It will actually try to protect you from pain. Right? So everything you focus on is worst case scenario naturally. That is why you have to stand guard at the gates of your mind or weeds will grow automatically, because it is natural to focus on red, focus on why it's so shitty, focus on why it won't work, focus on playing the safe way, right? That's a natural way to think. And unless you program your mind to look for blue, AKA what you want, why you are qualified, why it is a good idea to quit that job, whatever it is, unless you program your mind to look for that, you won't find it. It's natural to be skeptical. It's really, really hard to focus on being happy in what you want. So let's do an example to show you what I mean. I'll give you an example of what looking for red looks like. Ask yourself this question right now. Close your eyes and do it. And ask yourself, why does my job suck? What happens? Ask yourself that. Ask yourself right now, why does my job suck? And listen to all the answers that you find pouring out of you. Right? Oh, my boss is a bitch. I don't make enough money, right? I have to work all these hours. I have to deal with this crazy dude named Chris that just drives me nuts, whatever it is, right? And these answers start flowing out of you. Let me ask you this. How motivated do you feel when you focus on that? You don't feel motivated at all. And even if you read positive thinking books or listen to audios, you still have that voice that says you're not enough. right? Because you haven't programmed your mind to focus on blue and make it at your natural default setting. You haven't started looking for the Ford Fusion. You're still looking for why you can't afford a car. Does that make sense? So think about this for a second. Whether past or present, have you ever asked yourself, why isn't my team doing anything? Why is my boss such a bitch? Why can't I get it right? Why don't people want to join me? Why is it so hard to find another job? Why am I so broke? Why is it so hard to lose weight? Why am I not enough? Why can I never catch a break? Why is it so much easier for other people? Why can't I do anything right? Why am I so unhappy? Will I always be this stuck? Are you, be honest, are you an asshole to yourself like that? Right? Those are limiting beliefs. And it does not feel very good to ask those questions, right? I bet it leads to a lot of pain, a lot of procrastination, and you're sitting there on the couch looking at your life frustrated with the results you're getting, not believing that you can change it, almost feeling like hopeless. Like it's this state of learned helplessness. Like you can't do anything to get out of it, even though it's a load of BS. And no matter how much someone tells you that you can, or no matter how many times you see other people doing it, there's still the voice that says you can't, right? So let's change this. When you set a goal, when you, let's say your goal is to get out of a job and go to a different career, or maybe to apply to a leadership position within your company. Let's say that's your goal. Whenever you set a goal, whether you're looking for red or looking for blue in here will determine if that goal comes true. And setting goals is nothing more than trying to create a new reality as opposed to your current reality, right? That's what goal setting is. You're trying to change your current state, your current reality. The gap in the middle is how you talk to yourself. And until that language has been conditioned to be empowering, you're always going to be spinning your wheels. You're always going to feel stuck. I know this because I lived it. I wanted that job to change, but I couldn't get myself to do it. I wanted that bank account to grow, but I kept overdrafting. I lived everything that I just taught you. Right? So let's just use the limiting belief or the negative talk, the disempowering question of why do I feel so sad all the time? Ask yourself that. Why do I feel so sad all the time? What happens? Your brain actually looks for an answer. Even if you're happy, unless you've trained to think this way, even if you are happy, right? You're going to start to question yourself. That is how insidious negative self-talk really is. Something you need to understand is that your entire life can be changed by asking yourself more empowering questions. If you're stuck in that rut, you feel hopeless, like nothing can work, your entire life can change by switching the questions that you ask yourself. Nothing external needs to happen for you to be happier. You don't even need a different job for you to be happier. In fact, business success, a new job will not lead to happiness. Happiness will lead you to those things that you want. Let's teach you how to be happy. So your brain is like a Google search engine. It will answer whatever the hell you type into the search bar of your mind, right? So ask yourself this, like what if you intentionally reverse this, right? So instead of asking yourself disempowering questions, if you realize your brain is like a Google search engine, that means whatever you type in, you'll get an answer. So change what you type into your mental Google to give yourself an empowering answer. Your brain's looking for an answer either way. So ask it an intelligent question that will lead you to a better, happier life. Asking, why am I so stuck at this shitty job? Or what if I get rejected from that leadership position? What does your brain do? It finds the reasons why it's so hard to be happy and it's so hard to make that change. And that's what you focus on. So you find the answers, right? When you sit down to work, your brain is literally looking for every reason why you're not capable, why your job sucks, why it's so negative. This is what I did. I became that negative person in my office where I'd come in and I'd focus on why it's such a horrible environment. And I became negative. My quality of work went down, right? I put on a fake smile, but people could read right through it. So you don't send the resume. You wallow in your sorrows over friends and a bottle of wine, right? You don't show up at your job with a smile. You start to become the negative person in the office like I did. You don't give love to your spouse when you get home because you're so stressed about your day. You don't make them feel amazing. You become selfish and focus on all the things that they're doing wrong and how your job sucks, right? Does that sound familiar? And here's what's crazy. There are amazing people and opportunities and new jobs and great leadership positions that you could apply to, that you could do right now and change your life, that stumble across your life every single day. But because you're so focused on red, so focused on what you don't want, so focused on disempowering emotions, asking the question of why is life so hard? Self-sabotage steps in, you stay in the same spot, you're so negative, and you won't even notice the incredible opportunity sitting right there, right in front of you. You don't even think to reach out to your Aunt Mary to ask about that HR job. You don't even think to ask your buddy Brian for a connection in the trading business. You don't even realize these connections you have because you're so focused on why you can't. So let's change it up. Now let's show you how to use your brain for an empowering question. Ask yourself this: why am I already living an amazing life? Ask yourself that. Why am I already living an amazing life? What happens? You still look for the answer. All of a sudden, you focus on why today's pretty damn amazing, right? You realize, holy shit, I have a job. I live in a country where I'm free. I can eat whatever I want in my fridge. It's beautiful outside right now. I don't live in a country with communism. I have these amazing kids. Even though my husband drives me nuts sometimes, he's wonderful. Life's pretty damn awesome, right? Try this. Why is it so easy to get a great job? Ask yourself that. You focus on, oh, wow. All you got to do is to apply to a couple more jobs, right? You still look for an answer. Even if you don't have the answer to the question, you look for it. And you start to focus on blue for the opportunities, the people you could reach out to, the job sites you got to put your resume on, the sacrifices you could make, why you have this energy to create something new instead of feeling like a victim to your current life. Can you imagine if you filled your mind with that every day, asking yourself an empowering question that will lead you to the life that you want instead of only focusing on the life that you don't have? And here's the key. You don't need to have the answer to the question you ask. You just need to live in an empowering question that guides you towards what you want. Because when you're in the right state of mind, you know what you want, you know what blue is and the direction you want to go, the how will reveal itself. And it happens so fast. When it starts happening, guys, it floods into your life so fast, faster than you ever imagined. Always remember that. You don't need to know how. The how will reveal itself, but live in an empowering question. I had to learn this the hard way. And I'm hoping that this video can shrink it down to 30 minutes, right? So every problem you face is simply an empowering question that you haven't asked yourself yet. That's it. Every problem you face is an empowering question that you haven't asked yourself yet. So for your life, your business, your job, write down all the negative shit you ask yourself all the time. Why am I so broke? Why is my business not growing? Why am I stuck? Why am I so fat? Why does my job suck so bad? Why does my husband always annoy me? Whatever it is, go through, write down all the disempowering questions that you do. And actually do this when you finish this video or this podcast. Like, write that down and then flip those questions on their head. Turn that into, why is it so easy to blank? Why am I so wealthy? Why am I debt free? Why is my business booming? Why is it so easy to change careers? Why am I such a great leader? Why is my life such a beautiful gift? The two questions that, and this might help all of you that are stuck in a rut, the two questions that changed my entire world are, why am I so kind to myself every day? And why am I worthy of living such an amazing life? Those questions changed everything for me because I started showing up more positively. And when I showed up more positively, it made me have more motivation for creating a different life. Life will get 100% easier if you are just 1% nicer to yourself. That's super important to understand. It gets 100% easier if you are just 1% nicer to yourself. And then take those empowering questions, those empowering questions you just wrote down, put them on Post-it notes all over your house. Record it. Listen to it while you sleep, whatever it is, right? Reprogram your mind and flood it with the right questions. Flood it with the stuff you actually want. And think about this. If you have the words on your car dashboard, the second you pull into the parking lot at your job that you used to hate, why is my job such a gift? I guarantee you that you listening to that eventually, like slowly, gradually over time, you've been conditioning this red focus for a long time, but over time, you'll start to focus on how your life is a freaking gift, right? Like, you live here in the United States, where if you're in the bottom 1% of the country, you're in the top 1% of the world. You have some perspective. You change the way you look at things. And then you're going to walk in that door a little bit taller. You're going to walk in with a smile on your face. You might actually get some quality work done. You're going to feel the confidence to go after that leadership position or change that job, whatever it is. I'm not saying you have to stay with where you're at. I'm saying that you appreciating the life that you already have is the only way to get the life that you want. If you're so focused on why things aren't good enough, you will never have what you want. When your life conditions don't match up with the way that you want your life to be, you feel this frustration, this anger, that keeps you stuck. You need to learn, and this is a huge skill that it took me 5 years to figure out. You need to appreciate the life you are currently living if you ever want to have that dream life. If you ever want that new job, you need to appreciate the job that you have. Otherwise, even if you happen to get a new job, you're still going to find everything wrong with it. Right? Your life will change if you do this. Focusing on your current good is how you create more good. Dwelling on what's wrong in your life makes you feel stuck. This is just one of the ways that I changed my entire life. You're planting new thought seeds and you're watering those thought seeds daily with a question. And then all of a sudden, you stopped watering the disempowering plants in your garden, right? You let those weeds die. You stopped focusing on that fear-based thinking. Now the only thing that you water are the flowers, the blue stuff, right? And within less time than you think, that garden is absolutely gorgeous. It's blooming with so many colors and opportunities, and those plants are giving your life oxygen again. And guess what? When your life has oxygen again, think about this. When you feel alive every single day, getting that new job becomes so much easier. Having confidence to apply to that new position becomes easier, right? Think about that. It's not about saying that where you are is the end all be all, right? It's not saying that you want to stay there. It's saying appreciate where you're at so you can get to where you want to go. And I know this part is helpful, and that's part one, right? Rewiring that negative self-talk. I know that part is helpful, but there's a couple other things that I want to go through with you. Part two, about some self-honesty checks that you should really take a look at, right? So these are things that are like number one, by far and above is what we just talked about, that negative thinking, right? That is by far and above the most important. But this is also playing a huge role. In fact, if these parts of your life aren't taken care of, it's much easier for that negative, insidious self-talk to creep back in. So number one, ask yourself this: who do you spend time with? Like your peer group. Seriously, you've heard that cliche a million times. You're the average of the people you spend your time with. If your friends are bitching about what other girls say, or they're talking about stupid stuff about just things that are just not focused on growth, not focusing on what you want, only focusing on what's wrong with the world, right? Think about that. If you're around negative people that are drinking all the time and, just partying and not focused on amazing things in their life, you're going to become that person. I did it, right? I was in that job and I found myself surrounded by people that also didn't like their job. So we would go out partying and drinking. And guess what? When you're hungover, it's really hard to have energy to apply to a new job, right? Whatever you consume, you become. And that includes other people's opinions. So ask yourself, who are you surrounding yourself with? Who are the people that you text most of the time? Are those people uplifting or are they complainers? If they are complainers, you might want to consider upgrading that peer group, or else you're going to downgrade. Even if you have 2 people that are playing life at a high level and you have 3 people playing life at a low level, you're going to average out. You're going to find yourself somewhere in the middle, right? So who are you hanging out with? Who are you spending time with? Make a list. Make a list of all the people that you're spending time with. And ask yourself questions about, are they an image of what you aspire your peer group to look like? Imagine that your life is like a board of directors. Those 5 people are your board of directors in your life. Are they people you would want making decisions about your company, right? If not, it's time to fire them, right? So who are you spending time with? When I changed who I spent time with, I found an online community. I built a business online. I found an online community full of people. My wife always jokes, yeah, but your friends are always online. Yes, they were, because I had to change who I was hanging out with. So it wasn't people complaining about their jobs every day. It was people that were going for something bigger in life. If you're around people complaining about their jobs, you will be someone who complains about their job. More negative self-talk comes into your life. That's number one. Number two is, how do you talk when someone asks you how you're doing? This is a huge challenge I have for you. This is not about lying It's not about lying or pretending you're better than you are. It's about being proactive about making your life better than it is, right? So if you respond, when someone asks you, how are you doing? And you respond with, I'm fine, or I'm okay, or things are good, right? Just kind of like, you can tell it's a load of bullshit, right? You know that person that you talk to where you say, how you doing? And they're like, oh, I'm fine, right? Like you just kind of feel drained just from being around that person. No one wants to be around that person, right? You're someone that's just either feeling mediocre about their life or just having a bad day, right? And there's nothing wrong with having a day where you feel those negative emotions sometimes. I'm saying about the way you respond to that question changes your outlook on the entire day. How is your brain going to fire differently if your response is I'm fine versus I'm fantastic, right? I'm doing great, right? Things are amazing, right? When you respond that way to other people, 1, you uplift other people. 2, you have more energy and you give yourself more energy because your brain expects you to be living with more energy, right? Yeah, and here's another thing, have some perspective, right? You're not just fine. You are living, you are breathing. That should be enough to smile about. If you are stuck in the I'm okay type of world or I'm fine type of world, you might want to start practicing gratitude and realize that your life is a freaking gift. Have some perspective. Like I talked about, if you're in the bottom 1% of this country, you are in the top 1% of the world. Okay, so really think about that. How do you respond when someone asks you how you are? That's a habit that you can change. Just start responding with the way you want to feel, and I guarantee you, you're gonna feel the way that you want to be, right? Okay, so another thing, what type of news do you broadcast? Inspiring news or news that complains about the world? Do you complain about Trump or do you uplift other people, right? Think about that. What type of news do you broadcast to the world? Are you sharing amazing, uplifting things that make people's lives better, or are you a drain on people's lives? Ask yourself that. Simple question, but you can change a lot by just changing the news that you broadcast to the world. Next question, what do you consume? This is huge. So I'm gonna tell you a little secret that that's public knowledge, but not really well known. I haven't watched the news in 6 years. 6 years. Haven't watched the news in 6 years. Doing just fine, right? I'm not saying that it's bad to be caught up on global events. I'm not saying it's bad to have a political opinion. I'm not saying it's bad to enjoy politics. I'm saying that the news, the media, their job is to serve you the worst case scenario and make you fear life. The world is not even a fraction of as bad as it's made out to be in the media. Not even close, right? It's like if you're planning a trip to Cancun and your mom's freaking out about you going to Cancun because there was a murder there 4 years ago, right? That's the news. Cancun is a bad place because the cartels are there. Yeah, well, I grew up in Chicago. There's murders on the South Side every day, right? It's fear-based thinking. That's what the media sells you. If something, like, think about this. You might want to consider not watching those news outlets that are opinionated. If something important happens, there's a very good chance you're going to know about it. Right, like again, 6 years. I haven't watched the news in 6 years. I'm doing just fine. In fact, I'm doing more than fine. I'm doing amazing, right? If you enjoy politics or current events or any sort of thing like that, that is normally a strongly opinionated piece of advice that people have or a strongly opinionated topic, my advice to you is to follow an unbiased, unemotional, fact-based medium. A good one for that, my buddy Jameson introduced me to, called the Morning Brew. It's an email thing that you can get where I guess it shows like the current events, but with an unbiased opinion, right? That might be something to start look at because the news is only going to focus on what can get the best headline, what is going to get the strongest click-through rate. That is their focus. It's not focused on making you feel happy. It's focused on money, right? So stop reacting to their fear-based mediums. Be proactive about your life and stop flooding your mind with toxic things, right? Again, haven't watched the news in 6 years, doing pretty damn good. Finally, do you start your day proactively or do you start your day in reaction to the world around you? I am totally guilty of this, by the way. I'm not an angel with this. Sometimes, like, ask yourself this. When you wake up in the morning and you flip over, what's the first thing you do? I'm assuming it has something to do with this thing, right? That's what it has to do with. So I do that sometimes. I'm guilty of it. But one of the habits I've really been working on instilling is not checking my phone for the first 60 minutes of my day. Brendon Burchard actually proved that if you don't check your phone the first 60 minutes of your day and you replace that time with a morning routine that's empowering and proactive, your productivity increases by 30%. That's pretty incredible. So have some sort of morning routine. I'm happy to share mine with you. I probably have a blog post about it. But if you think about this logically and step into the common sense corner for a second, when you wake up and you look at that phone, what all this thing is a convenient organizing tool for other people's needs. That's it. That's what your phone is. So, like, if your other people's needs swarm your inbox, you're going to feel overwhelmed. You're going to feel negative. You're not going to feel like you're taking care of yourself, and you can't pour from a cup that's empty. Another thing is, in the morning, like, proactively practice gratitude, right? Think about this. It is impossible to feel depressed if you're grateful. If you have clinical depression, it is impossible to feel depressed if you are in a state of gratitude. And chances are, if you are clinically depressed, there is no judgment here. That's okay. I'm saying that you probably haven't felt gratitude in a long time. I have some exercises to help with that. But the point is, all the negative emotions that make you feel so stuck in life and in that rut go away when you feel grateful. Those emotions disappear. It is impossible to feel pain when you're deeply grateful. It is impossible to feel overwhelmed when you're deeply grateful. It is impossible to feel stuck and worthless and hopeless and depressed and anxious when you're deeply grateful. I made gratitude a regular part of my life. I do it every day for at least 10 minutes. When you make that a regular part of your life, everything changes. You'll wake up with happiness faster than ever before instead of waking up with fear. And when you wake up with happiness, you can get out of that rut so much faster. So those are some self-honesty checks to look at, guys. Seriously, it is so important that you take a look at that. We barely scratched the surface in this talk today, but those are just a few of the things that completely transformed my life, got me out of that rut, and it led me down a path to creating a life that I absolutely love. If you just apply one of these things, life will drastically change. If you apply all of them, game over. So thank you guys so much for showing up today on the Path to Mindset Mastery, episode 5. Again, my name is Brad Bizjack. I am a mindset coach, inspirational speaker, and I'm here to help you overcome all of the stuff that is holding you back from the life that you really want. If you found value in this video, share this video with the people around you. People need this more than ever in a world where people are so overwhelmed all the time. This dose of positive thinking can change everything. So I love you guys. Have an amazing day, and we will chat very soon.